The prices have tripled. It's outrageous.
Even buying the basics is a challenge.
It's ridiculous that we can't go to Sam's and get ketchup because they're out of ketchup for weeks at a time. It took me 2 months to get straws. I couldn't get straws, individually packaged straws. I was like, what do you mean I can't get straws?
She can't even get straws? Tough out there for small business owners. Joining me now, the great Carol Roth, recovering investment banker and author, which is apparently going to be a thing for her now, and I'm glad about that. Carol, okay, break this down for somebody who's not aware. Why are supply chains so screwed up? Why can't a small business owner get ketchup or straws? These are things that have been readily available for my entire 41 years on this planet.
Yes, well, I conceal carry plastic straws in my purse just in case of an emergency. You just put some into, one of those toothbrush holders. My sister taught me that. But it's a challenge, and this goes back a couple of years when they decided it would be a great idea to shut down like a third of the economy and assume that they could just turn it back on as if they were power cycling a modem. And it had long-term ripple effects that by the time Joe Biden got into office, he had a chance to right the ship and turn everything around. And instead, Joe Biden said, nope, I'm just going to double down on really stupid policies. I'm going to just layer some extra crap on there because I don't think the American public is suffering enough. I don't think small businesses are suffering enough. And then I'm going to tell them that this is the greatest economy of all time. That's my plan. I'm Joe Biden, and I'm sticking to it.
Carol, small business. What did the government do to crush small business? Because when people think about COVID lockdowns, they think it was bad for business, right? Bad for the economy, whether they support them or didn't support them. And yet they can't quite make sense of why things did just fine at Amazon and Target, but the small mom and pop shops, not so much. Why?
This was the very clever aspect of the way they approached we were all in this together, is that we were not all in this together. The small businesses bore the brunt of the burden of the shutdowns because who was shut down and who was deemed the evil word essential was not based on data or science. It was based on political clout and connections. So your dog could go get a haircut at a big box retailer that dealt with pets, but you couldn't get your own haircut at a small salon down the street from it. It fundamentally made no sense. So that was sort of the direct issue, is those dollars went from the small businesses to the big businesses. But then the Federal Reserve came in with their intervention in the market. They took interest rates down, they printed money, the government did stimulus, and all of this gave cheap and easy capital to the big companies to be able to come in and compete. While it screwed up the labor force, it screwed up the supply chains, it eventually ended up stoking inflation with the Biden decisions on top of that. And those are all things that if you're a small business that's already been hurt in terms of, having your business shut down and having these labor issues, layering these things on top of it, you don't have the financial wherewithal to be able to withstand them. And, if you look at some of the reports, Alignable says that 40% of the small businesses they surveyed couldn't pay their rent on time and in full in December. The National Federation of Independent Businesses, which follows small businesses, has had 12 months in a row of negative sentiment from small business owners. So this is the backbone of the economy. And by the way, Jesse, people think, when we're talking about small business, that it's small. Before COVID, this was half the economy, half the GDP, about half the jobs, and the biggest job creator. So when we're talking about that, we're not just talking about decentralization and economic freedom, but we're talking about, the economy. And what's going to happen is this great consolidation that we're seeing, where the big just get bigger and more powerful, and the average person ends up owning nothing.
Carol, now why can't they make ends meet? I don't understand. These are business owners. Aren't they all rich?
Yes, the average small business owner is super rich. People go into business because of economic freedom. There's the opportunity potentially to get rich, but obviously of the 32.6 million at last count small businesses that are in this country, a lot of them go into it because they want to be their own boss or because they have a passion or a calling. There are a lot of objectives that people have, and that's what economic freedom is about. It's not just, becoming a multi-millionaire or a billionaire. It's putting out your dream in the way that you want that meets your objectives. And so, if you're an individual business owner, you don't have a huge balance sheet. If you're taking out a loan, you're probably personally guaranteeing it. You might be dipping into your 401k. You might be dipping into your home equity in order to try to make this business go. And it helps everybody. You may have employees. You're providing a product or a service that the people want or need. If you're in a local community and people spend their 63 cents of every dollar, it's estimated, stays within that community. It supports choice. It supports freedom. It supports decentralization and that pushback against central control. And so it's very, very meaningful in terms of, being able to have the opportunity to own something and to build something and to build wealth and to have those freedom and that choice. And unfortunately, even though it's so important to us, not enough people are really caring about it.